She didn't know the voice message went through. She didn't even realize she hit send. It came in at 2:06 p.m. I was standing in the middle of the garage, holding a half-empty container of windshield washer fluid, trying to figure out why our second car smelled like cigarettes when neither of us smoked. My hands were greasy. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, expecting another "get almond milk" reminder or one of her million heart emojis. Instead, it was a voice memo. 7 seconds long. I hit play, and I swear to God, I thought my brain misfired. Her voice, breathless, soft, too soft, not the tone she uses with me. She said, "He doesn't suspect anything. I'll be back in 20. Don't move." I replayed it. Again and again. Every time, the meaning twisted deeper into my chest. I looked around the garage like I'd just woken up in someone else's nightmare. My car was still halfway on the jack. The washer fluid was dripping on the concrete. And I was just stuck. She didn't mean to send that to me. That message wasn't for her husband. It was for him. And I heard it. I went inside, slowly, like I was walking underwater. Didn't even take off my shoes. I just left dirty footprints all over the floor she mopped that morning. Everything was still. Still and fake. The TV was on, but muted. Her water bottle was on the table. She'd left the blanket folded on the couch exactly like I always did. She used to complain I was obsessive about it. Now she copied it perfectly, like she was playing the role of the perfect wife while texting that. My tea was still warm on the counter. She had made it for me right before she left. Kissed me on the cheek. Said, "I won't be long, baby." Baby. Then sent a message to another man. I didn't even know what to do. I couldn't breathe properly. I opened the fridge. I closed it. I checked the front door lock like 4 times. I sat down, then stood back up. My brain just kept repeating her voice like some cruel loop. "He doesn't suspect anything." No, I didn't. Not until you told me. And here's the part that still messes me up. I almost convinced myself it didn't mean anything. I actually told myself, maybe she's talking about a surprise party. Or a gift. Maybe I'm overthinking. But deep down, I already knew. And in exactly 21 minutes, when she came back through that front door with a fake smile and a Trader Joe's bag full of lies, I was going to let her pretend. Because I wanted to see how far she'd go. She walked in humming. Humming. Like she hadn't just dropped a grenade in my chest 21 minutes earlier. Like I wasn't standing in the kitchen, pretending to stir soup I never intended to eat, while her voice memo played on loop inside my skull. She didn't even look nervous. She just smiled at me like everything was fine. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, maybe from the cold, maybe from something else. She set the grocery bag down and said, "They were out of your yogurt, but I got that granola you like." I just stared at her. My throat was dry, like I'd swallowed dust. She bent over the counter and pulled out oat milk like that was the most important thing happening in the universe. I watched her hands. Perfect manicure. Pale pink nails. The same hands I used to hold when I couldn't sleep. The same hands that had just touched someone else. And then she asked, "You okay? You look weird." Weird. That's what she said. Not worried. Not upset. Weird. I swallowed hard and forced out a nod. Just tired. My voice cracked at the end, but she didn't notice. Or she pretended not to. Either way, she didn't push. Instead, she walked past me, humming again, and I watched her go. I looked at the back of her head like it was unfamiliar. I noticed things I'd never seen before. How she touched her necklace absent-mindedly. How she swayed slightly as she walked, like her body still carried some rhythm from a different moment. Not our moment. Someone else's. I wanted to scream. To confront her. To throw the phone on the counter and say, "Explain this." But I didn't. Not yet. Something in me needed to see more. I needed proof that what I'd heard wasn't some fluke. I needed her to lie to my face. And she did. That evening, we sat on the couch watching reruns of a show she used to love. She curled up beside me. Her head rested on my shoulder. I wanted to shrug her off. I wanted to get up and walk out. But I let her stay there. I let her touch me with the same hands that had touched someone else just hours ago. I guess part of me wanted to see if she'd flinch. If she'd feel guilty. She didn't. Instead, she whispered, "I missed this. Just us." I almost laughed. Missed what? The silence she filled with lies? Later that night, while she was in the shower, I took her phone. I know how that sounds. But don't judge me. Not yet. I wasn't looking to invade her privacy. She sent me that voice memo by mistake. That wasn't privacy. That was confession. All I wanted was clarity. But she had nothing saved. No texts. No call history. No voice memos. Like it had all been scrubbed. She wasn't just cheating. She was careful, meticulous, strategic. And I realized, if she's gone this far, how much else have I missed? I put her phone back exactly as I found it. Screen brightness, battery level, even the angle it was sitting at on the charger. I didn't want her to know I knew. Because now I was going to let her dig her own grave. And I wasn't just going to sit back and cry. I was going to listen, watch, record, until I had everything. I don't know how she did it. How she managed to walk around the house like everything was fine while I was drowning just feet away from her. That night, while I pretended to sleep, I could hear her on the balcony, pacing. She wasn't talking, but I heard her laugh. A soft, guilty kind of laugh. The kind someone makes when they're remembering something they shouldn't. I didn't move. I just lay there, staring at the dark ceiling, sweating under the blanket, trying to make sense of the reality she had built, and how I'd been living in it blind. By the next morning, I'd made a decision. No more guessing. No more begging the universe for answers. I was going to get them myself. I started simple. I told her I was feeling better and was going to run errands. She barely looked up from her smoothie. She just said, "Don't forget to grab more almond butter." Almond butter. Like I wasn't inches away from crumbling. I kissed her on the forehead, and for the first time ever, she winced. Not visibly, but I felt it. Like my touch burned her. I left, drove to the edge of town, and parked near a gym I never went to. From there, I called Chase, my oldest friend, and someone I hadn't spoken to in months. We drifted ever since he moved to another city, but I remembered one thing. He used to do freelance IT work. Not the kind that fixes your printer, the kind that knows how to clone phones, trace locations, extract deleted messages. I hated myself for dialing his number, but I hated not knowing more. He picked up on the second ring. I didn't even say hello. I just whispered, "I think she's cheating on me. I need help." There was silence on the other end, then a deep sigh. And all he said was, "I'll text you a tool. You didn't get it from me." I installed the spyware that night. Discreet, hidden, synced to a dummy email I made from a public library Wi-Fi, just to be extra careful. And then I waited. It was the most painful 24 hours of my life. Watching her laugh at reality TV, toss laundry into the machine, moisturize her hands, do yoga in the living room. All while I sat there, phone in my pocket, knowing it was capturing everything hers was doing in real time. And then it happened. Day 2. Around 3:12 p.m. She was in the car again. This time, no Bluetooth error. No accidental voice memo. This time, it was intentional. A real call. The app recorded the audio. I listened to it in the backyard with my earbuds in, hands shaking so badly I dropped my coffee. "Are you still thinking about last night?" the man asked. His voice was smooth, confident, too familiar. I felt sick. "Of course I am," she said. "I still smell like you." I covered my mouth, almost dropped to my knees. She never talked to me like that. Not anymore. Her tone was silky, playful. I didn't recognize it. It felt like I was eavesdropping on a stranger. A version of her that didn't exist in our home. And then, the part that wrecked me. She said she couldn't stay long because he's been acting weird lately. "I think he suspects something." He was me. I turned off the recording. My chest felt like it was caving in. I couldn't cry, couldn't scream, couldn't move. I just sat on the edge of the flower bed, staring at a weed poking out of the mulch, wondering how long it had been growing there, like her lie. She was too perfect. That was the problem. She knew me too well. She knew how to look me in the eyes without blinking, how to fill the fridge with my favorites, fold my laundry just the way I liked, laugh at my bad jokes while texting another man under the table. That night, I said nothing, because she was going to make another mistake, and I was going to catch every second of it. I didn't sleep that night, not even a minute. She was breathing softly beside me, curled up like nothing was wrong, while I stared at the ceiling counting every lie she'd told me in the last 48 hours. I knew it was just the surface, that the real damage lived in the parts one hadn't seen yet, and I was going to find it, no matter how much it broke me. The next morning, she said she had to run into the city for a hair appointment. She even waved her phone at me with the fake calendar invite already pulled up. She'd added it last night, at 11:17 p.m., while I pretended to be asleep. I know because I was watching her screen through the cloned feed. I smiled and said, "Oh, cool. I'll clean out the car while you're gone. Been meaning to vacuum under the seats." She froze for a split second. Her eyes didn't move, but something behind them flickered. And then, just as quickly, she grinned and said, "Sure, just don't break anything." As soon as the front door closed behind her, I rushed to the garage. The car wasn't locked. Of course it wasn't. She didn't think she needed to hide anything in plain sight. I didn't even know what I was looking for at first. I opened the glove compartment, flipped through every receipt, every crumpled napkin, every abandoned hair tie. Nothing. Then I slid my hand down the gap between the passenger seat and the center console and felt something smooth. A folded receipt. From a seafood place 3 towns over. Dated 4 days ago. The same day she said she was at her mom's, helping with yard work. The same day she came home with dirt on her shoes and the smell of lavender lotion. I opened the paper and stared at the line items. 2 entrees. White wine. Dessert. Tip. It wasn't just the receipt, it was the signature. I'd recognize her handwriting anywhere. I sat there in the driver's seat, holding that little piece of paper like it was radioactive. And the sickest part? I remembered that day. She came home early. Said her mom wasn't feeling well, so she'd cut the visit short. She made us dinner. Watched a movie with me. We even laughed. And all that time, she had that receipt in her purse. That night, I finally started documenting everything. I created a folder on my laptop. Quiet Storm, I named it. Screenshots, audio clips, pictures of receipts, her calendar entries. It was pathetic how much I had to collect. It felt like trying to prove gravity, but I needed undeniable weight. Something she couldn't spin. Something she couldn't cry or sweet-talk her way out of. Still, I hadn't told a soul. Not even Chase. Not even my sister, who always warned me that Tessa was too polished to be real. I wasn't ready. Because once I said it out loud, once I admitted that my wife, the woman I built my life around, was cheating on me with someone who apparently liked overpriced oysters and wine on weekdays, it would be real. Irrevocable. So instead, I planned. I started leaving small traps. Innocent ones. I asked her how her mom was feeling after their last visit. She blinked once, just once, then rattled off some vague excuse about allergies. I asked her if her hair appointment went well. She nodded, said the stylist used a new serum. But when I went to hug her, I caught the faintest whiff of men's cologne. The same kind I smelled in the car the week before, but had convinced myself was maybe from the valet. My stomach twisted. She was lying so effortlessly, so frequently. It was like breathing to her. And I hated myself for still missing her when she wasn't home. I kept telling myself to confront her, to stop dragging it out. But something in me wanted to let it burn longer. Let her keep weaving her web, blind to the fact that every step she took now was a breadcrumb straight into the fire. Because next time, I wouldn't be pretending anymore. The mistake came on a Wednesday. Midday. It was the first time she'd actually slipped, really slipped, and it didn't even take a tracker or a recording this time. Just a bank notification she forgot to turn off. I'd never thought of checking her spending because she always used cash for everything personal. Groceries, nails, whatever, all small bills. No paper trail. But this time she'd gotten lazy. Maybe she thought I was too broken, too tired, too oblivious. Or maybe she just wanted to get caught. She was in the shower when her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Normally I wouldn't have looked. I really wouldn't have. But this time it lit up with something she didn't expect. Chase credit alert. Your card was used for $328.17 at Raven House. VIP lounge access. I stared at it. Blinked twice. Raven House. It wasn't a name I recognized. I Googled it immediately. It wasn't a store. It wasn't a spa. It was a members-only bar. Not just any bar, the kind that didn't advertise prices or opening hours. The kind that hid behind vague experience packages and velvet curtain photos. And VIP lounge access wasn't some fancy booth. It was a private room for discreet guests. She came out of the shower wrapped in a towel, humming, drying her hair, no idea what I'd just seen. I kept my face neutral. I said, "Hey babe, what's Raven House?" She paused, just a half second too long, then said, "Oh, it's a sushi spot near the salon." "Wait, why?" I smiled, shrugged, "Just saw something on your phone. Thought I'd check it out." She laughed, actually laughed, and said, "You're too cute sometimes." I wanted to scream, break something, grab her by the wrist, and shout, "Who did you take to a VIP room, Tessa?" But I didn't, because I knew what she was doing. She wasn't just cheating. She was training me, testing how far she could go before I cracked, like slowly boiling a frog. So I played along. I asked if she'd bring me there sometime. She said, definitely, but not on a weeknight. It's more of a girl's thing. A girl's thing. Sure. The next day, while she was at her Pilates workshop, I drove across town and found Raven House. It wasn't in some glitzy district. It was behind a blacked-out window next to an antique furniture shop. No sign. Just a gold Raven decal on the door. I couldn't get in. Not without a membership. But I waited. For 2 hours. And at 6:44 p.m., I saw him. I'd never seen the man before in my life, but I knew instantly. He walked out with his jacket slung over one shoulder, texting. Tessa stepped out 30 seconds later, adjusting her top like it had been pulled off too fast. They didn't kiss. They didn't even say goodbye. They just walked away in different directions. Like pros. I sat in my car, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles cracked. I had the photo. I had the timestamp. I had her card charge. It was real. Tangible. The truth was no longer a whisper. It was screaming in my face. But even then, I didn't confront her. Because I needed to know why. Not just the what, but the reason. The poison behind it. The part she thought she'd hidden so well. And something told me I was getting close. I'd always assumed that if I ever caught my wife cheating, I'd rage. Flip a table. Burn her things. But here I was, sitting in my own bathroom, door locked, lights off, staring at myself in the mirror while she laughed on the phone 2 rooms away. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I could feel it. That kind of joy isn't for a friend. It wasn't for me. Hadn't been for months. I looked pale. Hollow. I hadn't shaved in days. My eyes were red. And somewhere deep in my gut, something worse than anger was growing. Acceptance. I was starting to accept that this woman, the one I built my entire damn life around, had left me long before I found the receipt. She'd been slipping away quietly, piece by piece, replacing our shared life with some parallel fantasy I was never meant to find. That's when I did something I hadn't done since college. I opened her laptop. She almost never used it. Always claimed her phone was enough. But I remembered her password. It hadn't changed. And when the screen lit up, I saw why. She wasn't hiding messages or photos. No, she was smarter than that. She'd created a new email, separate from the one we shared for bills, vacations, our Spotify account. This one was pristine. No ads. No newsletters. Just a thread labeled A. There were only 7 emails. But they were enough to destroy me. The first one was from 6 months ago. It was short. 2 lines. I didn't expect to feel anything. But I can't stop. You already know that. The reply came 2 hours later. Then don't stop. I'll be wherever you need me. They weren't explicit. Not in the way people think affairs are. There were no naked photos, no motel addresses. Just emotions. Deep, articulate, disturbingly poetic ones. The kind of words she used to write me when we first dated. Only now, they belonged to someone named A. I sat there, scrolling, rereading every word, memorizing the way she signed off. T. Never her full name. Always just that. As if, even in betrayal, she wanted to be elegant. What ruined me wasn't what she said. It was what she never said. Not once did she mention guilt. Or me. Or the life we built. She wrote to him like she was free. Like the person she was at home didn't matter anymore. I copied the emails. Saved the entire thread to a flash drive I labeled insurance. I didn't know what I planned to do with it yet. Maybe nothing. But I needed to have it. I needed her truth somewhere other than inside me. That night, she came to bed late. Her skin smelled like vanilla lotion. She kissed my forehead and said, "You've been so quiet lately. Everything okay?" I wanted to laugh. Scream. Break something. Instead, I said, "Yeah, just a lot on my mind." She nodded like she understood, rolled over, and went to sleep. And I stayed awake. Not to cry. Not to plan revenge. But because I had just decided to start disappearing. Quietly. Piece by piece. Like she did. And she wouldn't notice. Until I was already gone. The first thing I stopped doing was answering her texts right away. It sounds small, petty even. But when you've been the predictable one in the relationship for years, the one who replies in under 10 seconds, the one who asks if she's eaten lunch, the one who remembers her dentist appointments, silence becomes power. She noticed immediately. Day 1, she sent, "Everything okay? You're quiet today." I left it on read. An hour later, she followed up. "Did I do something?" "Yes, Tessa. You did everything." But I didn't reply. I let her stew. I wanted her to feel what I'd felt for weeks. Uncertainty, distance, That itchy fear that something's slipping and you're too late to fix it. That evening, I got home late on purpose. Didn't bring up dinner. Didn't ask about her day. I just nodded, went upstairs, and sat at my desk. She hovered in the doorway like she wanted to say something, then gave up. The next morning, I took things further. I took off my wedding ring. I didn't make a scene about it. I didn't throw it across the room or leave it on the counter like some dramatic movie scene. I just didn't put it on. Left it in the drawer. Let her notice. And she did. Her eyes flicked down to my hand at breakfast, and then right back to her coffee. She didn't mention it, but she didn't finish her eggs either. By the end of that week, I had changed my phone passcode, updated my bank login, and moved a portion of my savings into a separate account she didn't know existed. I canceled our joint Amazon Prime, removed myself from the Hulu plan, logged out of our shared calendar. Slowly, piece by piece, I was cutting myself out of the life she thought she still controlled. But here's the part that flipped the script. She started panicking. On Saturday, I got home from a long errand, just me walking around the mall alone, pretending I had somewhere better to be, and she was sitting on the couch with her laptop open and tears in her eyes. Real ones, not crocodile tears. She looked genuinely scared. She asked if I was still in love with her. I looked at her for a long time. Too long. Then said, "That's a weird question to ask." She blinked. "Well, it's just that. I felt some distance lately. Like we're off." Her voice cracked. "Are you seeing someone?" The irony nearly choked me. I wanted to scream. "Are you really asking me that, when you've been crawling into someone else's VIP room and emailing him poetry?" But I didn't. I simply said, "Would it matter if I was?" And the look on her face, that flicker of panic, betrayal, and confusion all at once, was the most honest expression I'd seen from her in months. She didn't say anything else that night. The next morning, she made me pancakes. Wore that perfume I used to like, but had stopped noticing. She kissed my neck in the kitchen like it was 2017 again. But it was too late. I wasn't there anymore. Not really. I was already on the other side of this marriage, the side where I was starting to imagine life without her. And she could feel it. That's when the messages to me started changing. No more dry texts. Now it was, "Are you mad at me? Can we talk? I miss how we used to be." But I wasn't falling for it. Because I knew what she missed wasn't me. It was the version of me who didn't know better. The version who thought her silences were peace, not secrets. And soon, she was going to find out just how quiet I could be. I didn't give her the satisfaction of a fight. That would have made me look unhinged, like the broken husband who just couldn't hold it together. No, I wanted silence to speak for me. And it did. Loudly. The night before I left, she asked if I wanted to go to that new place downtown, the one with wood-fired pizza and the garden patio. I told her I was tired. She bit her lip and nodded, but I saw it in her eyes. She knew something was slipping, something she couldn't fake her way out of. At 3:17 the next morning, while she was asleep, I packed. Not everything, just what I needed. Some clothes, my documents, my laptop with the folder titled Quiet Storm still sitting on the desktop, unopened, but ready. I didn't take the ring. I didn't take the wedding photo from the hallway shelf. I didn't even take the coffee mug she gave me on our first anniversary. I left one thing. A letter. No screaming. No accusations. Just the truth, quiet and honest, the way she never gave it to me. It read, "You spent months building a world I wasn't allowed to enter. You gave your time, your heart, and your body to someone else while I folded laundry and made your tea. You were careful. You thought I'd never find out. But I did. And instead of confronting you, I watched. I waited. I wanted to see who you really were when you didn't think I was looking. Now I'm done watching. You don't get to choose when I leave. You don't get to explain, or cry, or promise change. I loved you. Fully. Deeply. And you fed that love lies until there was nothing left but dust. So I'm giving you space. The same space you filled with someone else. Goodbye, Tessa. Please don't try to find me." I placed the note on her pillow and walked out while the sun was still dragging itself over the rooftops. The air was cold and sharp. It felt clean. Honest. 3 months later, I was living in a smaller place. Quiet. Mine. No memory of her in the kitchen. No fake smiles. No tension thick enough to choke on. I'd started running again. Sleeping through the night. I reconnected with Chase. Repaired things with my sister. Got a dog. A rescue named Milo who barked at his own reflection and slept on my chest like a furnace. And somehow, slowly, I felt okay. I never responded to her messages. She sent a few. First confused, then apologetic, then desperate. I never blocked her. I didn't need to. She was shouting into a canyon now, and I had nothing left to echo back. The most healing moment came unexpectedly, a Sunday morning at a local farmer's market. I was walking past a flower stall when I saw her. Not Tessa, someone else. A woman in a hoodie, no makeup, laughing at something the vendor said about lopsided tomatoes. She caught me staring and smiled. Not a flirty smile, not forced. Just human. We talked. She wasn't perfect. I didn't need her to be. But she was honest. And that was enough to start again. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like someone who got cheated on. I felt like someone who got out.